you're talking about the Raiders and all this other stuff. That owner wants to lose. That owner is trying to lose. Now, the coach will never want to lose. The players will never want to lose. But that owner is trying to lose. And that owner is trying to lose because he wants to get into the top 2 of the draft. And he wants to draft either Drake May or Caleb Williams. And don't think that he doesn't. And this is really reticent. I was reading about all this crap coming out of Las Vegas yesterday. And this is reminiscent of what happened in Indianapolis last year to my buddy Frank. And I'm thinking to myself, so they get the 3-1 last year in Indianapolis. And ownership, GM, whatever, says, hey, you got to play Sam Ehlinger. We're benching Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And then 2 games later, after losing with Sam Ehlinger, let's fire Frank, and then let's bring in Jeff Saturday. Yep. And, now they beat the Raiders in Jeff Saturday's first game as head coach, and after that they fell apart, and they ended up getting a top 5 pick, and they ended up getting Anthony Richardson. Now, the whole idea behind it was it's time now to lose. Now, the guys on the field and the coaching staff will never, ever buy into that. I can tell you that firsthand because I played on losing teams, and I know what it looks like, and I know when certain guys aren't playing because upstairs says we don't want them playing this week and all this other crap, or this is who we want playing. There's an idea behind it, and the idea behind it is to get up into the draft because there are can't-miss quarterbacks that are coming out this year that could be game-changing players for these franchises over the next 10 years. So I personally look at this and I see a befuddling owner that has got his hands all over the place. And here's the other thing that he has in common with the guy out in Indianapolis. They're not self-made guys. They inherited all this crap. So when you inherit all this stuff and all this, and you start making these impetuous, impatient decisions, it really, it's just, who the hell would want to go to work there?
Well, I think now Antonio Pierce is going to have those guys going to work. And here's my counter to that would be, now, the Frank Reich situation, totally different because he had success there. Josh McDaniels didn't. If you wanted to lose, why don't you keep Josh McDaniels there? Because the entire team hated him, it seemed like. Hated him. And now they have a guy that they trust, and I think they're going to play inspired. So I don't think Mark Davis is that savvy enough to think that I'm going to do this now so we tank to get a draft pick. I think what he was doing with this firing was appeasing a fan base that was all over him for hiring Josh McDaniels in the first place and then being embarrassed by what was going on this year and last year as we talking about the losing to Jeff Saturday, losing to Baker Mayfield when he was with the Rams for 2 days, losing on national TV this last game.
Also to Tyson Bagent.
Tyson Bagent, like all of that stuff.
I know that. So, but I hear again, but I just respectfully disagree in this sense. They're starting Aiden O'Connell, not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is that big of a difference maker, but they're starting a rookie quarterback now, and they have a guy in Antonio Pierce who is a great player.
Aiden O'Connell does not look like a quarterback. He looks like a punter. I'm sorry. He looks like a punter.
And good for Antonio. He's going to get a chance to show that he can be a leader of men, and that's important for him. And it's important for him to get his wins. And he's going to want to get his wins. Again, I'm not talking about the coaches themselves or the players. I'm talking about ownership here. And this is why this is important. And this is why this is important for Daniel Jones in particularly, because they cannot go out there in the current state that the Raiders are and lose to a rookie quarterback with an interim head coach that has never been a head coach before in his life. They fired the general manager. They fired the head coach. They fired the offensive coordinator. And you're going to tell me that Wink Martindale's team is going to go out there and lose to this defensive team is going to lose to this offense? That does have playmakers, don't get me wrong. And then on the other side, you have Daniel Jones coming back. And I'm telling you, you want to talk about an inflection point for the Giants season and his career in particular. This is it. This is where he's now got to take this team and earn his $41 million and go out there and beat the Raiders. And not only beat, I think they're going to smash the Raiders. I think they're going to kill the Raiders.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be their best opportunity to have their best game. And 2 reasons. 1, because of the instability out there in Vegas. Number 2 is because Daniel Jones has sat on the sideline now for 3 weeks. And he's watched this team play. And he saw Tyrod Taylor have some modicum of success with the team. And I'm telling you, if it were me, this is how I would take it. I don't know anything internally. I haven't talked to him. I haven't talked to anybody over there. But internally, this is him now. This is about him. This is about his contract, and it's about his future here for the New York Giants, and he's got to sell himself all over again to this team, to the ownership, and to the coaching staff.
Yeah, I hate this spot for the Giants. I think they are going to go out there and lose. We did from 2010 to last year when there was an interim head coach. The first game that is played under that interim head coach, these teams are 15-9.
Well, Brian Daboll can't let that happen.
And what makes that number even more impressive is that generally when these coaches are fired midseason, these teams are terrible. These are terrible football teams that get a short-term boost by the firing of the head coach, and now you're going to go from Josh McDaniels to Antonio Pierce, two completely different personalities, and I hate this spot for the Giants. And on top of it, it would be great if Daniel Jones came back and this offense was awesome, and Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, who haven't been together for a while. But Darren Waller's not there.
I don't care about it.
Their offensive line is still who cares about it? He was their leading receiver.
Yeah, but you know what?
Who cares about it? They brought him in to change the offense.
Guys always heard he's never going to make 17 games. Here's the thing. It's on Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. He's going to have to do a Patrick Mahomes. He's going to have to go out there and he's going to have to elevate everybody else, and he's going to have to show why the Giants believe in him. Yeah, you can't go out there and lose this game. You just can't. You can't. You just Brian Daboll is a better coach than Antonio Pierce. Daniel Jones is a much better quarterback than Aiden O'Connell. Excuse me.
McClutherness, actually, is the guy's name. Yeah.
But Aiden O'Connell, the fact that he's going up against Wink Martindale's defense, who has actually played really well the last 2 weeks, you can't sit here and tell me that you think this is a bad spot for the Giants. I'll tell you, if I were the Raiders, I'd be worried about the Giants because they're getting their starting quarterback back, who better be motivated and who better want to show why they're paying him the money they're paying him. So I see it the other way. So we see a different
but I mean, I think all those things that you're saying are right. Like Brian Daboll better not lose this game. Daniel Jones better do all of those things are right. Like I don't disagree with that. I just don't like the spot for them. I really don't.
And if they talk about ownership that listens to the fan base, holy Christ.
And then also on top of that, now they got kicking issues because Graham Gano, who should have won the game for the Giants against the Jets, now has knee surgery, and they got to pull Randy Bullock out and toss him out there. I don't like the spot. I really don't like the spot. And I can see coming in here on Monday and saying that this thing really did take a major turn for the negative. Now with losing this game. And if Josh McDaniels were still the head coach and Jimmy Garoppolo was still the quarterback, I would have liked the Giants. I really would have liked the Giants. That team was a mess. And they're still a mess. But for a short term, they are going to.
Aiden O'Connell against the defense that Wink Martindale has finally figured out. Now, I know they lost Leonard Williams to a trade. But I'm just telling you, this you can't sit here and tell me you're going to get beat by some rookie mid-round draft choice that's going to come in and beat you. You can't tell me that. You can't let that happen. And that would be my message as an owner to my head coach. Don't go out there and lose this game. Don't even get on that plane if you're going to come back and lose this game.
Well, they're not going to fire him, but
I just listen, man.
I haven't seen a lot.
They just lost a home game to the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a home game in which they had the lead with 38 seconds. I think it was 38 seconds to go.
Yeah.
Or 28 seconds, whatever the hell it was. And Graham Gano misses a field goal. They had the lead in a game against the Jets in front of their home fans. You're going to tell me that you're going to take this team out to Las Vegas and you're going to lose to a rookie quarterback?
I'm telling you, it's a real possibility, yes.
No,
and by the way,
it's not even.
It's a possibility.
I'm just telling you, like, if I'm in Giant ownership level, I am walking in there going, we are not losing this game. We are not losing this game. And if I'm the coach, I'm like, hey, Daniel, let's go. It's time to ante it up now, and let's go, man.
Ante up. So the spread, like the way you're talking, this spread should be like what? Like the Giants minus 10 or something?
No.
You realize they're an underdog.
I know
they
are.
Right?
I know. That's why I picked them the win.
No, I know, but I mean, you say like you better not lose. You better. They're not even favored to win.
I'm just telling you, like, so every team, there are 32 teams, there are 32 stories, there are 32 sets of issues, and every team has their issues. No question. Every team has their issues. The Giants' issue now, had been they lost their starting quarterback, and their backup quarterback came in, then they lost their backup quarterback. That was their main issue, along with the injuries that they had on their offensive line. The defense was trying to figure it all out. They were giving up big plays, and all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, it looks like Wink, to me, shrunk the playbook, made it a little bit easier for the guys, a little bit more aggressive for the guys. The guys like the way the games are being called, and they're playing well. I'm sitting here telling you that, from my perspective, the issues for the Giants are getting fixed because they're getting their starting quarterback back. The issues for the Raiders aren't going anywhere because they got that lunatic owner. They got a rookie head coach who, great, good, says all the right things, and he should. He's been around a long time. He's coached a long time. He played a long time.
Yeah.
So he'll be able to press some buttons. I don't think so. I don't think that. He's never managed a football game in his life.
Well, I mean, but here we go again, though, with the Jeff Saturday comparison. For a short term, these guys get boosts. It's a fact. Now, I'm not saying that for the long term that it's going to last because they've got so many issues there. But in the short term, the history says that these guys get a boost. And the fact that Antonio Pierce said all the stuff that he said, the fact that he's a former Giant, which, of course, makes this thing even worse. I really think you're going to see an inspired effort from the Raiders this week. And you're right about everything about if they lose the game and Daniel Jones coming back, if he doesn't play well, all those things would be terrible. I can't sit here and dismiss the Raiders because they got rid of one of the worst head coaches we've ever seen.
I'm just telling you, if we're sitting here on Monday morning and Daniel Jones is like 11 for 33 for 137 yards and 2 interceptions and a touchdown, and the Giants lose by 10 points. Forget it. It's over.
You're telling me that's not a possibility?
It's over, man.
You're teling me that's not on the table?
I'm just telling you, you want to talk about...
That's not on the table?
You want to talk about pressure...
Is it on the table?
You want to talk about pressure points? You want to talk about pressure points? Here's a pressure point, man.
Yeah.
It's like at a boiling point. Again, I cannot impress upon you enough how that loss last week changes things within the Giants. And they lost at home to the Jets when they had the lead.
Oh, yeah, they choked that one away. It was terrible.
Maybe we're flipping about it because the Giants weren't a very good team. I thought the Jets would win. You thought the Giants would win. Then we just kind of move on, and all this other crap's happening around the NFL. I'm telling you, that loss is a cut as deep as any other loss that they would have this year in that building.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that goes without saying, yeah.
And that's why this week in practice, with the quarterback finally back and, with this hanging over their head, they cannot, I can't reiterate this enough, they cannot go out there and lose to a rookie quarterback. They can't. They are 2 or 3 plays away from being 4-4.
Yeah, but they're also 2 or 3 plays away from being 0-8. Like, think about it.
No, no. The games. When I think, when they lost to the Cowboys, it was 40-0. They were never in that game.
All right, but
they played the 49ers, they were never in that game. They lost that one 30-12. When they lost to the Seahawks, it was 24-3. All right, those games they were really not in. The Cardinals game, they had to come all the way back. They win that game.
Well,
the Dolphins game, they weren't even in.
No, but hold on.
The Bills and Commanders, they were in those games.
No, I know.
And of course, the Jets, they were in those games.
But my point is that we're going to talk about how they were a couple of plays away from being 4-4. They were getting their asses handed to them by the Cardinals, and they barely squeaked by the Commanders. Those games could have gone the other way too. So just like there could have been some things to the positive going the other way, they could be sitting here winless too.
Why do you have to be so pessimistic? I can't, but you just hate the Giants. That's all it is. You hate the Giants.
Last week, all I was talking about was the Giants were going to win.
But what I'm doing is, you know how radio gets.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody just twists everything around.
I know.
I'm not. I'm hard. Definitely going to be on this all day today. The Giants cannot go to Las Vegas and lose to that rookie quarterback and that rookie head coach. They can't. They just can't. After last week, after the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. But do you think that they will win the game?
Oh, yeah, I do.
You do think they will? All right. Because there's one thing from saying they can't lose it.
I will not I'm putting my money on Daniel Jones in this game. I'm putting everything I got on him. Because I
Everything
know,
you've got?
And I'll tell you why. Because I know.
You give me the house before you put it up?
I know what it means to him. I know what it has to mean to him. Yeah. I know he has to go out there and he has to play great. He has to. He just has to. That's all there is to it. There's no other option. You come home here, you flatline this team. This team loses to that group of guys out there in Vegas who's got an owner that is completely out of his mind. Don't even get on a plane, man, because it's going to be a bloodletting around here.
I'm just picturing Mark Davis dancing in the booth as Josh Jacobs runs for an 83-yard touchdown, and he's up there with his hair cut and doing the whole thing, sitting next to that Cirque du Soleil chick and just having a great time, and the Raiders are back. Bum, 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 do
you understand what I'm saying about
Yes, I'm understanding what you're saying. Trust me. Yes, you've said it many, many times in the last 17 minutes. I understand.
Am I saying too much?
No. You've said just enough, but you said, do you understand? I completely understand. Completely understand what you're saying. But I still think the Raiders are going to win.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.